I always laugh and stuff, meal number 6,372 that we've been cooking since COVID. It's always nice to have new recipes in your repertoire to be able to try and do something a little bit different. Because, I will hardly agree and stuff. We even get caught in a rut. I'll look at Jerry sometimes and I'll just be like, okay, what do you want? Tacos or burritos or, hamburgers or, it's just, and we're like, and then I'm like, oh gosh, we need to do something different because we just did burritos 3 days ago or something. But it's a lot of times though too, is when the recipes are really good, eat them. I mean, if as long as nutritious and all that. So one of the things that you will notice in this class, we don't use any oil. So there's always 3 things that I use when I do the class. I use either water, vegetable broth, or vegetable stock, or I use white wine. And white wine I only pretty much use in sauces. So it's more like a tomato sauce, a marinara sauce. But it's always good to have on hand. So those are the 3 things that we're going to cook with that you're going to see. Not a lot of cooking actually sauteing today. It's a lot more putting things together, getting some things in the oven. But these are phenomenal recipes. If you like Banh and you're used to them out there, or you've never tried them, they're really good. And you can put all kinds of vegetables and different ingredients with them and make it your own. And then we also have a Vietnamese noodle salad, which is really good because you can add all kinds of vegetables. So if you don't like cucumbers, put in zucchini. And it's one of those ones that'll give you the base, and then you can add as many vegetables or as few vegetables as you want. But the sauces on both of these, really good. So this is one of those things that when you try the sauces, you may end up wanting to make like double the sauce and keep it for other things. Because the Sriracha Mayo that we're going to make is really good on burgers, or you can actually add a little bit more like a soy sauce to it and make it on for a dressing. So many different things that you can do with that. So before I go any further, I will actually have Jerry come up and introduce himself. And I'll kind of watch. If you see me looking to the left, it means I'm looking at the computer because I have a computer over here so I can see your questions. So feel free to go ahead and, if you've got a question, ask as many questions as you want. I'll answer them. I promise you I will. Go ahead and put them in chat, and then I'll just I'll kind of paraphrase the question back to the group, and then I'll give you what the answer is. But happy to share all my knowledge, because that's what we're about. So without further ado, here's Jerry. Here's Jerry.
Hi, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm Jerry Casados. If you don't know who I am, plant-based nutritionist. We've got an anniversary coming up here, Kelly and I. 14 years, plant-based next week. Yeah, I did it for health reasons, 2007, with 3 blood pressure meds, cholesterol, heart disease was developing, and I went to Dr. Google, and he saved my life, basically, and now I'm helping people to get better with plant-based nutrition. So we're very fortunate and grateful for that. So anyway, we're having a good anniversary. 14 years ago, it was a little different than it is now, obviously. Finding soy milk and stuff like that was challenging sometimes. But anyway, if you have any questions about nutrition, I'll be glad to answer too. Go to my website, plantbasednutritionlifestyle.com. I do free consultations. I do diet analysis, meal planning, all those things that you need. If anybody needs help with, I'd be glad to help. And just go ahead and go to my website and check it out. It should be in the chat window. If not, I can copy it in again. So yeah, any other questions, let me know. But without that, further ado, we'll go with eat some food now.
He's always happy because it means making different things, and this kind of adds into the different recipes we have, and he gets to eat it at the end. So he's one of the lucky ones that no matter what I make, it's to try it at the end, and it becomes dinner. So I know a lot of people are always like, God, you're so lucky. And I would agree. Definitely lucky to have all the different foods. So
yes, I am.
All right. So we are going to, like I said, we're going to make the banh mi. So it's with the Sriracha Mayo. If you don't like Sriracha, there's a couple other things. You could just do the regular mayo, or you could add in sambal leek, and I'll show you a couple of different things that you can add in, or you can just completely leave the kind of the spiciness out if you wanted to do that. So we'll kind of walk through the different things. So hopefully you had a chance to grab the recipes. Like I said, we have it on there's a link there that on the chat. So feel free to grab that. Or if not and stuff, you can go onto the meetup and you can actually go to a Google Drive and grab all the recipes. And if you want to see recipes from other classes, you can see everything up that we've advertised on Meetup. Just send me an email, Kelley at Plant Based Kitchen. We'll share those out for you. All right, so I want to get the tofu going. So tofu is always one of the ones that I know a lot of people when they start into plant-based are a little scared of. Or just kind of like, I've never tried tofu. What does it taste like? Is it mushy? Is it, there's a texture thing with it. So I'm going to show you a little bit what we're going to do with the tofu because I want to get it marinated and then I want to get in the oven because that's part of the banh mi. So just a regular block of tofu. So what I did is I just, took the, took it out of the package, and this is a firm tofu. I always do the firm or extra firm, just because I like the texture where it holds up a little bit better. But I am also going to use a silken tofu, which is going to be in the mayo. So you'll see that there's a big difference between the two. So with the firm tofu, all I did last night when I just got ready, with everything, all the different samples, I just took it out, drained it, and then I just put like a paper towel underneath, and then I just put it down. So the paper towel pretty much soaked up all the moisture. So it's pretty good. You could press it if you want. You can grab like a tofu press, but at the same time is you can take, if you really want to press and get the moisture out, just take it and put the tofu like on something like this, like your paper towel, and then put weight on this, and then it'll actually press it out without going and buying a $20-$30 tofu press. So this is in really good shape. There's not any runniness coming out of that. So let's set this over to the side. So the recipe calls for, and this, like I said, I'm going to tell you a couple of different things. How often can you eat tofu for health? So Jerry, you want to answer that?
Yeah.
I'll give Jerry some time to answer some questions too.
There's a lot of misinformation about tofu and soy. Actually, there's a lot of research that actually soy is a benefit for breast cancer in the Asian women that in the rural areas. A lot of studies show that they are, very good for that. So no, it's plant estrogen. It's not the estrogen you find in animal products. So it's healthy. It does prevent some cancers and stuff like that. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. We don't eat a lot of soy, but occasionally use it as a condiment, maybe once, twice a week. That's not a necessity.
Yeah. So we'll do we do a great question. So we'll do soy milk, and that's our that's our preference, and soy milk, because the reason why we do that is to not as many nuts. So with like the almond milk, but feel free to use almond, cashew, hemp milk, all those, whatever is your favorite. But we'll do the soy milk for the cereals and stuff in the morning. And then tofu dishes, I probably maybe, if we cook it, we probably do it maybe once or twice a month. And I would say, and then the only other time that we usually use tofu is usually when we make a mayo. So I always have mayo made up. So I always keep the vegan mayo, and I keep it in these little mason jars, and I put plastic on it because when you have a lot of the mason jar tops, they're metal. And so you'll kind of get that a little bit like almost like a metal taste around it. So if you just put some plastic wrap and then put your lid on, it keeps you from getting that metal and the breaking down of the tofu. But we'll make this mayo up, and like the Siracha Mayo, we'll have it for probably 3 or 4 weeks. And so like this one, we had like avocado, lettuce, and tomato sandwiches last night. So we used the mayo, and then we also made mock tuna salad. So we've used the mayo. So that's like a tablespoon here and a tablespoon there. So it's not a lot, but it's nice to have on hand when you make it up. So tofu. All right, so we got this. So the recipe says to make it in bite-sized pieces, but since I'm going to be making a large, like a kind of a medium-sized baguette for the actual sandwich, and then Jerry and I are going to half it, or maybe I get a quarter and he gets 3/4. Who knows what'll happen? But I'm going to make it into longer strips. So that's one of the things that you can do. So just grab your block of tofu, and then the strips, you don't want to do them too thin because they start breaking down. They don't hold up when you're marinating. So I would say it's probably about a 1/2 inch is really good, but you can make them thicker. I like about a 1/2 inch because it tends to, when you put it in the oven, tends to make it a little bit chewier. So it gives you a little bit more of a chewy texture. So just, run your knife just down. And then what I do is I usually just stack them like that. So if I cut another one, then I'll stack it up. That way it gives me 2 to cut through. Another one, just move it over. And then split the 2. So this one I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices, 1/2 inch. All right, so I just grabbed one of those. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to half just right down the middle, the lengthways. Like that. And then I think what I'll do is to make it not such long strips, because it depends, I'm going to half it again in the middle. And so I have these nice kind of like 1.5 inch, 2 inch little cubes. So I'm just going to put them in there. If you want to make them smaller, you can do that. You can make them larger, however you want to do it. Whatever your preference is. I'm just thinking that the little tiny bite-sized pieces, it's a little bit tougher when you're doing a baguette and stuff to kind of hold them all together. So that's why I'm just doing a little bit larger pieces. Just stack them up. Boom, you're done. Just separate them out. Okay, so then we have we've got the marinade. So the marinade ingredients are 2 tablespoons of maple syrup. So I'm just gonna add it right into here. You could put it into a different dish, a side dish if you want, but if you want to keep your dishes, the dishwashing down, then just go ahead and add it. So maple syrup. If you don't want to use maple syrup, date paste would be okay to do that. You could use agave, or you could leave it out. Maple syrup just kind of gives a little bit of sweetness, but it also holds things together. It's kind of one of those little binder ingredients with that. Then we got rice wine vinegar. So just in your regular stores, you'll just see rice wine vinegar. Get the ones that don't have flavor. So make sure it's not like a garlic flavored. You just want just the plain rice wine vinegar. So I add that in. And then we've got tamari or soy sauce. So I always grab everything that is low sodium. This was tamari that I had because I had that in the cabinet. But you could use either one. You could also use, I know some people prefer coconut aminos. That's another thing that you could do, or you could use shoyu, which is another one, but it does tend to have a little bit higher salt. So I always look for things that are low salt just for that. And then we got 1 to 2 tablespoons of sriracha. So hopefully, sorry, we're gonna have a little barking, but hopefully everybody knows what sriracha is. So it's just a very spicy ingredient.
That was the doggies.
See if I get her to stop. So sriracha's in all the stores. So this one, I would say we probably use a little bit of sriracha here and there. But it's definitely, I probably had this for at least 6 months. So it's just basically a hot chili sauce. So you can add a lot. You can really like smoke the house out, or you can just add a little bit of it. So that's the sriracha. The other thing that you could add, if you don't like sriracha, is sambal olik. So sambal olik is like a sweet chili sauce. It's got a little bit of kick to it, but it is actually really good, and it's good in any type of Asian dishes or something that you want to have a little bit of spice, but really good flavor. So I love this one too. This is like $2.99, and it lasts a long time too, because you just need like a teaspoon every time you go. Is apple cider vinegar? So it gives a little bit. So your apple cider vinegar. So it says, is apple cider vinegar switchable for rice vinegar? You can use apple cider vinegar in this. So great question. It's a little bit more acid, but as far as when you're mixing in like your tamari and a little bit maybe like date paste or your maple syrup, you're going to get a good flavor with it. So that's the only thing that you're going to notice is going to be just a little bit more acid with the apple cider vinegar, but yes, you could do it. All right, so I'm going to add in the sriracha. Start out when I do recipes, I always talk about even when you're doing like even my recipes and you're adding spices. If you're not sure about sriracha, and if I say like the sriracha 1 to 2 tablespoons, go less. Start with like a teaspoon first, mix that in and taste it, and then add more. So you can always add more spices, more of like the sauces and things, but you can't take away. So don't ruin the dish by putting in 2 tablespoons and then all of a sudden your eyes water and you're sweating at the brow and all those type of things. So start low and build back up. What was the tamari substitute? So yes, you can do, if you don't want to do tamari, you can do soy sauce, low sodium soy sauce, or the other one is coconut aminos. So let me grab. Coconut aminos it's basically a seasoning salt, the salt in it. So it's still like 560 milligrams, but the calories are really low. But coconut aminos is another good substitute that a lot of people like to have because the sugars and things like that are low. This is really good if you take like green cabbage, you add a little bit of coconut aminos in the morning and you just saute it up. Wonderful, especially if you're looking to get your veggies in the morning. Coconut aminos with a little bit of cabbage is wonderful. If you haven't tried it. Yes, the other chili, slowly, it's called sambal olik. So it's S as in Sam, A, M as in Mary, B as in boy, A, L. Sambal. And then olik is O as in other, E, L, E, K. It's really good. It's wonderful for flavors. All right, and then the last but not least is sesame seeds. Add those in. You don't have to add the sesame seeds if you don't want to. And then you just kind of give it a good mix. Guarantee you try the sambal olik, you'll love it. So make sure I get the sriracha mixed up so we don't have one big chunk with lots of sriracha. So that's what it looks like all mixed up. And it smells wonderful. It's got all the nice like smoky flavors and everything else in that. So then you take baking sheet, parchment paper, and then just grab them out. So the nice thing about this too is your sesame seeds really stick to the tofu. And when you're roasting them up, they taste really good. Just add a nice little nutty flavor. Just kind of put them out there. And if you get one that doesn't look like it's covered enough, just kind of dip it back in there. These would be really good too if you make up these and you have a bunch of extra and you decide you don't want another sandwich. Would be good on, you could put it in a salad. So make like a Chinese non-chicken salad and use the tofu. Really good. If you need a recipe for that, just let me know. I actually had one that I made and I actually ate it, the salad stuff, for every day for almost 2 weeks. It was that good. All right, so just doing that. They look like little kind of like candy bars or something. All right, so I'm gonna hold the sauce over to the side a little bit, just because I'm gonna use it when I start baking them. Yes, you don't have to marinate it. So question is, how long, do you have to marinate it long or not long? You really don't, because you're baking it. And what I'm going to do is once I get it baked and it's starting to really crisp up nicely, I'm going to actually add more of the marinade on it. But you could do this a day ahead of time. So if you wanted to put all the tofu in like a glass dish or something, you could actually marinate it and then take it out the next day and bake it. So up to you as how much you want it to soak in. So I'm going to put this here. I'm going to put it right in the oven. So I have my oven a little bit higher, but 350 degrees. And so depending on your oven, mine's got some convection in it. So mine usually takes probably about 20 to 30 minutes. So that's why I wanted to get that in there so we can get that going. But cook it as long as you want. You can get it to where it's crispy and then it's really chewy, or you could actually do it where it's still really soft. So kind of choose where you like your tofu. Some people like it where it's just almost a little chewy, but not quite. So that's kind of where we're going to get our tofu for today. All right, so we've got the marinated tofu going. The pickles. So I made the pickles last night because this is one of the ones and stuff that you definitely want to make sure that you've got a little time to soak. But if you forget, the pickles will turn out like within an hour. So, and I tested it last night just to make sure. So you could actually pour all the ingredients on top of your carrots and your radishes, and within an hour and stuff, you've got really nice pickled carrots. So what I did is I just chopped up radishes, so small, so you can actually see the color a little bit is already started soaking up some of the pickling. So they've turned a little pink. And then I just did nice little, just like I'm peeling a carrot, I just did nice little slices like this. And then what I did is I put on the stove, I put the ingredients, I put rice vinegar, and then plus water. You could actually use the apple cider vinegar for that also. I did a little bit of brown sugar, or you could use maple syrup or date paste. I've been using date paste for a lot more things than brown sugar, maple syrup lately. And then I did some black peppercorns. So they're in here before you actually serve. So they're just, cute little black peppercorns like that. They give a great flavor, but I wouldn't serve it on the sandwich. You're going to want to make sure that you don't have any black peppercorns that somebody's going to bite into and then get that nothing but the pepper. And then we put in sriracha, and then a little bit of sesame seeds. So you don't have to have the sesame seeds in there also because you already have those on your tofu. But this pickling, and Jerry's, he's kind of like, oh, I like dill pickles, but he doesn't like much other pickling. This is such a nice, mild flavor of pickling that I guarantee you try it, especially just on the carrots. And you could do like zucchini and, yellow squash and pretty much anything. And maybe even like I would say you could probably do, if you like cucumbers, you could do cucumbers with it. It's such a nice low flavor, and it's not like your harsh, like pickle type thing, that you'll find that you probably will start making these up and start having these pickled vegetables to be able to put on like burgers and salads and all that. So it was kind of funny when I was making them up. Jerry was grabbing some slices out of there, and it's a really nice pickling. So once you put all those ingredients that I was just talking about all the liquid ingredients into a pot on the stove. You just let it simmer for just a few minutes, and then you just pour it right onto your vegetables, and then put a lid on it, and let it cool a bit, but then put a lid on it and put it in the fridge. And then a couple times, when we were sitting there kind of watching some TV and getting other things ready, I would just kind of tip it a little bit with the lid so I could get all sides. And now I have, you got all this pickling stuff here, but I got these really nice, beautifully pickled vegetables that are all ready to go for the sandwich. So you're going to think about, you're going to get this kind of like a little bit hot, a little bit kind of like spicy. Then you're going to get a little bit of the pickling. You're going to have, some fresh cucumbers. And it's just a delight when you eat like a banh mi type of a sandwich. All right, so we got those in there. And then we're going to make the Siracha Mayo. So the Siracha Mayo is, and I'm going to drain this a little bit. So is made with silken tofu. So this is going to make this will make like 2 of those mason jars that I had about this big. Let's see. So I think you mentioned sriracha and sesame. No, so did I brown sugar? Oh yeah, thank you. So it wasn't sesame seeds. I looked down to the wrong thing. So yes, thank you for correcting me on that. So yes, on the pickles and stuff, it actually is a garlic clove and it's not sesame seeds. So thank you for doing that. So yep, I skipped over and looked down too far. So keep me honest with those things, because sometimes I'll get busy and I'll start doing something else, and I appreciate that. Okay, so silken tofu is a really nice, it's a tofu and stuff that's very silky. That's why of course they call it silken tofu. Silken tofu is used for things like when you're doing like a fruit dip, to dip fruit in it. It's just very creamy. If you put like some vanilla in it and maybe a little agave or date paste, really good with fruit. You can serve it as a dip. It also, is good for your mayos and anything like that. Some people will use, like I've been to some Asian restaurants and stuff, and they'll actually have like a tofu soup, and they'll use chunks of the silken tofu, and you can do that also. I would say most of the time when I use silken tofu is always going to be in like ricotta sauces, or more like the vegan mayo is probably where I use that. And like, I know the question came earlier about the tofu. When I make this up, we're only using probably a couple tablespoons at a time. So, but having it around for 3 or 4 weeks, which is really nice. Yeah, you could use, so is the pickling, so Diana was asking, is pickling good for beets too? Yes, if you wanted a really nice, like light flavor pickling, you could use the beets. You could, like I said, pretty much anything that's out there. You could do jicama. So if you want to jicama with a little bit different flavor other than the flavor it has, you could put this nice pickling sauce on it. And it's easy to do and easy to make up. So yeah, great questions. Yes, so when you've got the peppercorns in there, when you're getting ready to serve, like say if I was taking one of these to put it into a sandwich and I grabbed it up, like, let me just find one here. If I grabbed this one up and I had like that, and I had the peppercorn in it, I would just make sure I put the peppercorn back into the pickling juice and not use the peppercorn to serve it on a sandwich. Nothing worse than biting into a huge peppercorn and you're trying to enjoy your sandwich. So make sure you take the peppercorns out, or you just leave them in the pickling sauce and not put them on the sandwich. All right, so mayo, good old handy dandy blender. If you don't have a blender, you can use a hand mixer, you can use an immersion blender, whatever you want. So I'm just so for following along, so we're gonna put all the ingredients into the food processor. So here goes the silken tofu. I drained it. There's not a lot of liquid that comes with silken tofu, but there's just enough that you wanna make sure you kind of keep draining it. All right, and then when we've got that, so we got 2/3 a cup of soy milk. You could use almond milk, cashew milk, hemp milk, whatever you want to use. That's going to make it nice and creamy. And also, if you want a thicker mayo, you don't have to use the milk. You can just leave it out, and it's going to give you a nice creamy mayo. When I just do the regular vegan mayo, I don't put any milk or anything like that because it's nice and creamy that way. And then I've got lemon juice, so a teaspoon of lemon juice. Got to have the acid, so you want to have that freshness. Then we've got prepared mustard, any kind. So you could use stone ground, you could use Dijon, whatever you want to do. I'm actually going to use just a regular Dijon because I like the Dijon when I'm making different types of mayos. Put that in there. Okay, and then we've got going through the recipe. Then you've got the sriracha. And that's because it's making it hot, so you don't have to make it spicy. And then you've got the granulated onion powder. So I was running out of dishes, so last night I just put the granulated onion powder right in the sriracha, so it's all ready to go. So everything's there. Break that out. Spicy. You can smell the sriracha. Okay, so one thing I want to do to get ready too, before I mix this up, I want to get the noodles ready for the noodle salad. So I'm going to actually just use thin spaghetti, but you could get some of the rice noodles, any type of noodles that you want. Just make sure they're thin. I tend to prefer, and I know Jerry does and stuff, more of like these type of noodles. So that's why I'm using this instead of the rice noodles. Yep. So we're doing the whole wheat, everything else. I'm just going to put these in here. Do a couple more. So I want to get these going. I'll watch those for a little bit. All right, so we got everything. So we'll just make sure everything through the sriracha, we're good. And you'll notice my blender has these are hearty. You'll notice my blender has a crack in it here. Came from one of the cooking classes and stuff, but it didn't break through the other side. So even though it looks like it's broken, it's not. So it still works. It's good. One of these days I'll have to replace it. Okay, make sure your blender's turned off. Top off. Kind of make it, I'll show you so it makes it a little bit easier to see it. Turns a nice kind of peach color. This would be good on a mock tuna salad, but it'd be definitely a spicy mock tuna. If you wanted something a little bit different versus just the plain mock tuna, this would be good. Okay, there we go. So tasting it, tell you how spicy it is. It's got a little bit of a kick, but not much. So we put in 4 to 5 teaspoons of sriracha. So if you don't want any kick, I recommend that you go down to 2. If you like that, where kind of just a little kick on the back of your tongue and stuff, then the 4 to 5. But good, it's just a nice creamy flavor, but it's going to add a little bit of that kick and stuff because it has the sriracha in it. So a really, pretty peach color, all ready to go. So I'll put that off to the side. Yeah. So Diana asked, can you use this Siracha Mayo for, all types of like dressings? So yes, you could. So if you did, like your, like hearts of palm and those type of things, like maybe, the fish sticks, but you're making that up, or your salmon patties type of thing, and you're making those recipes, you could use this with some pickles, like some with pickle relish or all those. You could actually put a little bit more flavorings in it if you wanted to make it more of like kind of a spicy ranch. So yeah, you could do this. You could actually even use it if you spiced it up a little bit more and added some other things to it. You could actually use it on baked potatoes. So I mean, there's tons of things that you could use this for. I was just saying, like a mock tuna salad. Jerry, I made some earlier in the week, and we just put them in these nice little glass dishes. So you'll notice here, you can see it on the bottom, that's mock tuna salad. So it's it's garbanzo beans, and if you like tuna, like the old tuna salad, this is absolutely wonderful on sandwiches. We take this to many places, and people are like, I don't think so. And they try it, and then they love it because it just has like pickles and onions and vegan mayo and all that in there. So these are fun to make up. We have all kinds of different things like soups, and then you've got lunch ready for every day. Replace my Kraft mayo. Yes. Any type of vegan mayo. So if you don't want like the sriracha, and you want to replace it, just use all the ingredients other than your sriracha. So that'll give you just a regular vegan mayo, and it's plain. That means you can put as many things in it if you want. And then if you want to make it spicy, add your sriracha. So it just kind of gives you a whole different, kind of a couple different mayos to play with. Right? Great questions.
A lot healthier.
Yeah, definitely a lot healthier. It has all the good ingredients in it, and plus, it's depending on what you're doing, if you're trying to make a sandwich or all those type of things or wraps, you don't have to worry about all the bad ingredients, all the fats, and all those kind of things in it anyway. So that's a great alternative to have, and keep it in little mason jars or little glass dishes, and it keeps, like I said, when you get it, you just stir it up a little bit, about 3 to 4 weeks. So you can make a lot of things be in 3 or 4 weeks. All right, so we've got the tofu in. It's already starting to get nice and brown. And then we've got the pickles made, the Siracha Mayo. We have the ingredients cut up, but I'll get those to you here in a second. All right, so now, leave that there. I want to go through the salad. Grab ingredients. We always talk about, like, wouldn't it be nice to come home? And Jerry's like, yeah. Come home and all the ingredients are already chopped up for you, and you just have to make them. Or, as we always talk about, even better, it's all made up for you. It's all ready to go. All right, so we just undo my carrots because I didn't want them to dry out. Okay. Keep that because that's my. All right, so we've got everything as far as in the oven for that. So we've got the pot of the noodles going on, so we're good. And then we've got, so with the dressing ingredients together. So the dressing, of course, is rice vinegar, or if you don't want to do rice vinegar, apple cider. So add that in. Then we've got lime juice, and I've got a carrot floating in there because I just moved it. So lime juice. And don't worry about going out and buying limes, especially now unless you want to. This is really good. Santa Cruz, you can get this where all the juices are. They actually have lime juice and lemon juice, and that's all it is. And it's so easy. It keeps for a long time, and it's so easy to pull out, like fresh lime juice, put it on a salad, anything like that. So Santa Cruz pure lime juice or lemon juice is really good to have in your refrigerator. Make it easy. How can you cut the salt? Okay, so low sodium tamari or soy sauce is too salty. One of the things I would try coconut aminos. That's one and stuff that you don't get that salty flavor type of thing. Or the other thing would be, the other thing you could do is take some of your tamari and mix, like, especially because you're mixing it a little bit in with, like, if you're trying to make the sauce, you're making something sweet. So it's like I said it was either the maple syrup. Take a little bit of date paste and a lot less of the tamari. So maybe like a teaspoon of the tamari, so it gives you that flavor, and then mix that up and you'll have that less salt too. So that's another way to really cut back on that. Because I agree, you can get like the low sodium tamaris and stuff, but they still can be very, very salty. But coconut aminos is usually pretty good. Yeah, Trader Joe's has coconut aminos and it tastes just like soy. It's great without the salt. Yep, great, thank you for that. I would agree. Trader Joe's has a lot of products. Chef AJ is a big fan, but it has a lot of products that are like sodium free and sugar free and all that. So great place to go get coconut aminos. Okay, so we go back. So I've got this in there. So then the other thing we have is you can use, so I've got date sugar. So it's just, you can use coconut or date. So this is just, it's just a dark sugar. Put that in there. That's why I'm mixing this up first, is because we want to make sure that dissolves. And then we've got low sodium soy sauce or tamari. So I'm using tamari again because that's what we had. Same thing, coconut aminos. Just go ahead and switch that out. They spill it all over the place. And then we've got, so following along, and then we've got garlic. So I'm gonna put that in there. And you make it up ahead of time. Sometimes your garlic sticks. Make sure you get that out. And then lemongrass. So lemongrass, Use lime juice in any grocery. Yes, so you're asking, do I get the Santa Cruz lime juice in any grocery store or where? Yes, I bought it in just like the regular King Supers. I've seen it in Sprouts. I've seen it in pretty much all the grocery stores around here. You always go to where the juices are. So they say, you know, they sell all the different juices out of the jars. And then what you do is you'll see at the very top, they'll have the lemon juice and the lime juice, and it's Santa Cruz. I have actually seen another brand, but the most popular one here in Colorado is definitely Santa Cruz. But they're great. I mean, it's like instead of having a bunch of limes that may go bad, you've got this lime juice whenever you need it. So if you want to, you know, add a little bit of that to a kale salad or something, you've got it and it's all ready to go. Let me check before I do the lemongrass. I don't want to have noodles that are falling apart. Just test one. Got one more minute. Okay, lemongrass. This usually where I find lemongrass is usually like in your Whole Foods type of stores. So you can find it like in natural grocers or Sprouts or that. And it always comes, it's, you know, next to where the mint is and the basil and everything else in these little packets is where I found it. Or if you've got a great Asian market stuff, you'll be able to find it too. So just looks like this. And all we're going to do is we're just going to, I'll actually just do it right over the dish. We're going to add, so if we're looking at the recipe, we got 2 tablespoons. So it's going to be, so just a regular microplane. And you're just going to just kind of like microplane it here. It smells like, if you do that and then smell it, smells wonderful. One thing I'll share, if you haven't been to my classes before, if we were using ginger, if you buy a bunch of ginger, because you know it can be expensive when you buy it, freeze it. After you've used a little bit of it, put it in a baggie and freeze it. And then every time you need it, just bring out your microplane like this, and then just go ahead and just go ahead and shred it. Shh. She's a noisy one today. She's usually like really quiet. Oh, it's probably because I'm doing that and she thinks there's somebody at the door. Okay. Okay, so just mix that in. And I'll put the other lemongrass over here. We'll use it for another recipe. Okay, so I'm gonna let that sit a little bit because I want to make sure that there's none of the date sugar that's at the bottom. So just, you know, it's just a nice brown color. Gosh, crazy bud. Do you peel the ginger? No, I do not. So let me find. Guys got going in my fridge and my refrigerator. So I just do something like this. So there's the ginger. I just bought a big chunk of it. and then I just take when I need it. So if I was going to be making ginger here, I would just pull this piece out here. I'd use my microplane and I just shred it up. And then you don't have to worry about taking a spoon and peeling off the actual peeling or anything like that. And it's all ready to go. So then when I'm done, I just throw it back in there into the bag, seal it up, throw it back in the freezer. And then you've got these you got this fresh ginger all the time versus when you go into your fridge and you get ready to get that little nodule of ginger and it's like this big because it's all dried up. Yeah, great questions. You don't have to peel it. That's the nice thing about it. There's nothing worse than taking a spoon and having to peel all the pieces off. So that's your way not to do that. Okay, so that's all ready to go. So now my noodles are done. And I'm gonna check the tofu. A little bit of cold rinse because I don't want them real hot. Side. All right. Yay, those are done. So the tofu, let me pull it out and show you what it's like because it's been cooking for a little bit. So it's already got this nice browning to it, and you can see where it's actually starting to become a little bit more firm. So at this time, you could actually, when you get to this point, you could actually put some more sauce on it. I'm going to wait just about another 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm going to put the sauce on it and let it bake a little bit more. But it's You could actually flip it if you want, or you can just leave it just like this. Put that in there. All right, so the rest of the salad. So I'm gonna mix mix up some small ingredients first with my vegetables, and then I'm gonna add the noodles to it. So that way I'm not breaking down the noodles as much. So in this, we've got carrots. So julienne carrots, so that just means they're just nice little pieces like this. So what I'll do with a carrot is I'll just take, you know, if it's a large carrot, I'll peel it like this, and I'll cut it like in thirds, and then I'll just slice it and then start doing little slices. So that's the easiest way to julienne. Or a really fast way too is grab a peeler. This one will make, you know, those really thin carrot slices. I'll grab a carrot out and show you. This peeler is really, really nice. Just do it right on here. So all you have to do is just peel. Just do a few slices. So if you want really, really thin pieces of carrot, slices of carrot, this peeler does them just like this. So instead of getting out your knife and doing all those little slices like I did, you could actually just peel the carrot and you've got all these nice little julienne slices. The peeler is Briefton's, or Briefton's is what it's called. So it's B as in boy, R-I-E, F as in Frank, T as in tons, O-N-S. Briefton's. So if you actually go in there and you sign up on their site, they will actually send you all kinds of things all the time about, hey, we've got this great special on peelers, or hey, we've got this, you know, mandolin, and you can get it for $4.99. So they're really good about giving you like specials to buy more of their products. But this one's great, especially if you don't want to have to do all the chopping with carrots. Just slice it up and ready to go. And then when it gets down to a small little piece, I chop it up and Jerry and I just eat it. So the rest of it's always good. All right, so we got carrots. Add those in. You got those. Then we have red bell peppers. You could actually do a mixture if you wanted to. So you could do red and yellow and orange. So just nice thin little slices. There. And then cucumbers, same thing. Just nice little slices. Make sure you have that. And I left the skins on the cucumbers because I like to see the dark green, and it was the English cucumbers. So it's not like you don't have a like weird, like sometimes you'll like what should I say, like a weird taste to it or something. Sometimes it seems like it's like the chemicals on there. I don't see that with the English cucumbers. So then just get your hands in there and just kind of mix it up a little bit because you want to have all your pretty colors. So it looks just like that. Just nice and pretty. Okay, let's grab this out of the way. All right, so let me grab the tofu out. So I'm going to add the rest of the sauce so it'll be ready for us to make. You can be real fancy and get a spoon if you want. I'm just gonna drizzle this on. Got all the sesame seeds, so just a little bit of those out. Put them there. And then add it back in. All right. So the noodle salad, I'll grab one more big bowl. Now the noodles. I got stuck in the holes there. There we go. Let them cool just another minute. So that some of the other toppings that you're going to have on there, if you can't find Thai basil, and sometimes unless you have an Asian store, it's really hard to find. So just go ahead and grab just regular basil. So I just when I grab up basil, and the basil is a little not as nice looking as I would want to have in in the stores right now. So I just grab it up like this and then I roll it. That. And then what I do is called a chiffonade cut. So it's just little tiny little slivers like this. I'll show you why. Watch your fingers. And then when you undo it, it actually puts these nice little like ribbons. So that's the chiffonade cut. So I will add that into here. Sure, get that. Smells good. Smells fresh. I actually just boiled the noodles. So I just did them like a regular, the noodles and stuff, just like a regular spaghetti noodles and stuff, just in the water. Took about 8 minutes or so, and then just drained them. So they're just regular like spaghetti noodles. You can do rice noodles. You could do whatever flavor you want. We tend to prefer more of the spaghetti noodles of that. So that's why we did that. I'm not going to find, you're going to find I'm not going to add cilantro. So kind of give you, Jerry and I are not cilantro fans. So I'm leaving the cilantro out of things. So then mint leaves. I am okay with mint. I think a little goes a long way. So I'm not going to add a lot. But you can add, if you love mint, it says add the cup. So kind of like I've always talked about with recipes, add in a small amount and start, and then you can always add more. So just enough nice rough chop, in case I'm blocking. Just enough for flavor, but not necessarily, I don't want the mint to overpower. And I can always use the mint for teas and other things like that later. Hot tea would be really good. Okay, so I've got that in there. I've got all the, so you can add chopped peanuts if you want. I'm gonna leave the peanuts out for this one. And everything else is in there. Okay, so then the noodles. The veggies. And if you're at home, don't use 2 or 3 bowls. That's just more washing the dishes that you can do. So just mix it all in like this, just add everything in, and then that way you don't have to worry about it. Then the dressing. I'm gonna taste it. That's really good. Okay. So I'm only gonna add a little bit of the dressing, not all of the dressing. And then toss it. So add a little bit of the dressing, toss it, taste it, add a little bit more if you need to. But I always, as I said, go low first and always add. If you dump all of it and you're like, ooh, that's too much, then it's too late. So taste it. A little bit more. All right, I'm going to plate it. And then you could add more sesame seeds, or if you have black sesame seeds, they're even prettier. And this is where you could add the peanuts, you could add the cilantro, so you could have, you know, more of the greens. Like I said, Jerry and I are not fans of cilantro, so I'm leaving the cilantro out of the dish. So here is the Vietnamese noodle salad. Doesn't it look good? It's yummy. So then even the next day, you've got the noodles and all the vegetables. It's good the next day for lunch if you don't eat everything. So there's that. And then I'm going to make up the sandwich. Yes. The number 3 under, yes, so number 3, I found that, sorry about that, I caught that too. You're just, all you're doing is whisking those, the ingredients for the dressing together, and then that's all you're doing, and then you're just adding it to everything there. So thank you for catching that. Yeah, I saw that after I printed it, and I was like, okay, so the bread.
Sweet.
So this, I'll show you the brand here in a second. This is a really good one. I don't know how many places you can find it. But if you're in Colorado and stuff, this is a really, really good bread. I'm only going to do it part way. And when you're doing this sandwich too, like this, you could actually, if you wanted to have, you know, some of the bread missing, grab some of it, just take some of it out like this. I'll put this over here because you can use this as nice croutons for salads later. You put it in the oven. But this will actually allow you to, if you take just a little bit of the inside out, it allows you to hold the tofu and all the wonderful other ingredients and stuff versus all the bread. So this bread is by Ezio, which used to be Udi's. So they have this, it's basically 3 main ingredients, flour, water, and salt, non-GMO, and it's whole wheat. So it's a baguette, French classic. Jerry went to the store to pick it out, and he likes to pick out all of his favorite breads. So
No oil.
no oil, definitely. Very few ingredients, which is really nice. Let me put this over here so we can make the sandwich. All right, I grab the tofu out. You could use a baguette like this. You could use smaller ones. You could use a really, if you wanted to make a big sandwich for a family, you could actually make it in one of those great big huge loaves of bread like that too. So. It's turned off. All right. You should smell that tofu. It smells so good. Wonderful. All right, let me get this out of the way because we don't need that in the way. Okay, so we got tofu. So you can build the sandwich however you want. I'm actually going to build it with the tofu on the bottom, and then I'm going to add all the vegetables because when you see it that way and you see all the colors and stuff, it's just really, really pretty. So the tofu, it's got a really nice leave-in on the bottom because of all the sauce. It's really nice. It's not like chewy, hard, but it's nice and firm. So it's going to give you a really nice texture in it, in the sandwich. So I'll do some of the smaller pieces that aren't sticking so much. And this is the joy of doing parchment paper too. When I'm done, I can throw the parchment paper away and I don't have all the stuff that's on my baking sheet, which is really nice. Less cleanup, less scrubbing. Oops. Okay, you can add as much tofu or as little tofu as you want. I added probably, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slices in there. I think it's pretty good because I want to make sure I get everything else. And just kind of open your sandwich a little bit. So I'll pull this off to the side. I'm not blocking. Then we have cabbage. Nice, just slices, just basically shavings of cucumber. Onion, you can use green onions, white onions, yellow onions. We got the Siracha Mayo, which I'm going to add. So you could actually add that if you wanted to right before you actually put in the tofu, which would probably be a little bit easier. But I'm going to add it right here on the sides. Just nice and thin. You can add as much or as little. You could go back and add mustard if you like mustards into it. Now the one that was barking earlier is now down here by my feet, and she's doing a little at me. Because usually at dinner time we serve her some cooked carrots, and I think she sees me making and I'm in the kitchen. She thinks it's time for her to have cooked carrots. So, okay, so we got that in there. So I'm pull the vegetables over. So I'm going to add some cabbage in there, and just stuff it as much as you want. You could do red cabbage if you wanted to. You could do a mixture of it. And that's just, just cabbage that basically I just chopped off a few pieces and then just basically made it into nice little strips. So you can do as much as you want as that. Okay, then I've got cucumbers. So I'm actually going to roll those just a little bit, just for pretty. Hopefully, I don't know if you can hear her. She's down here crying. She's like, "You're fine. You'll get some carrots here." Just kind of roll them up a little bit. The only reason I'm doing that is pretty color. Shh. You're fine. Okay. That. Plate. It's all ready. Starting to look really good. Don't have everything on it yet. So a little bit of the onions. So I just thin sliced. And then sometimes you're going to have to just kind of put your fingers in it and push down a little bit. You're noisy tonight. You're usually not noisy. I don't know if you can hear her on the camera and stuff, but yeah, she's doing little type sounds. Okay, here's that. Now, pickled vegetables. Okay, so just want to make sure, you know, grab your radishes out that have been pickled. Just make sure you don't have any of the peppercorns on it. Is what? Oh, I'm gonna make those veggies into a salad. But oh yeah, the veggies, and you could actually pickle. So you could pickle the cabbage and everything that's on there. A little more of the radishes. You can use radishes. You could, because I also said on there and stuff. There's there's different. So what was the other vegetable I gave you on there that you could do? Turnips. Okay, let me wipe the plate off so you can see it. You can also toast the bread if you wanted to. That's another thing that you can do, but it's just as good whether it's toasted or not toasted. And I'm going to turn it just a little bit. And a little bit of pretty. You can see it all. All right. Gonna keep everything together. Okay, so there is your banh mi sandwich with the Siracha Mayo, along with the Vietnamese noodle salad. They complement each other because of the colors and thing, I think, but doesn't that look delicious? That is dinner tonight, and possibly, because there's leftovers and stuff, will probably be lunch tomorrow. All right, that's there. So I'll have to take some pictures. Yum, yes, I agree. Banh mi sandwiches, especially if you, and then if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of the, a little bit of sriracha on it if you wanted. You could add some more of the, like the sambal leek, which gives a little nice chili, sweet chili flavors. There's so much you can do with this. Think of it as, the tofu and things on the bottom as a base, and then just add, you could do lettuces, you could do, all kinds, especially in the summer. You could do a slaw with, zucchini and cucumbers and onions and all kinds of things, and just pile it to eat, pile it all together and stuff to eat this. And then if you liked cilantro, add all your cilantro in there. But like I said, Jury and I are fans, so we are going to leave it plain. And then the other thing too, just to make it pretty, you could add some of the black sesame seeds. Like that. So there you go. Look how many vegetables we have left over pickled. Yum. All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed. So we're right at 6:31. So thank you so much. Love you guys, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. If you need anything, you've got my email, Kelley at Plant-Based Kitchen. Happy to help.
Thank you.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.